She calls herself the super mayor. You can find her riding around town all day making content for Facebook with a bunch of security guards around her. Guys getting paid from the town's budget every 2 weeks. One officer was paid for working over 300 hours in a 2-week period when there's only 336 hours in 2 weeks. Cashing in on a bunch of overtime that wasn't even humanly possible, taking home over $13,000 in one pay period. Yes, $13,000 for 2 weeks of work. The township is losing a lot of money while they fund this city girl mayor who's serving 2 positions at the same time for 2 different towns. In Dalton, she's a mayor, and in Thornton, Illinois, she's a township supervisor. Both positions combined pays her $250,000 per year. Thornton is a small Cook County suburb of Chicago with a population of about 2,400. Dalton is also in Cook County, just south of Chicago, with a population of 20,000. It's the residents of Dalton, a town 91% Black, that's funding the super city girl mayor Tiffany Henyard. In 2021, Tiffany was sworn in as the town's first female mayor and the youngest mayor in the city's history at 37 years old. Now she's 40 years old, and the citizens of the town are not happy with how she's been running it.
Can the Dalton Police Department afford to have this many officers attached to her detail?
We can. We really need them patrolling the streets.
So she's the part-time mayor of a South suburban village of a little more than 20,000 people.
Yet residents of Dalton are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to provide security for their self-proclaimed super mayor.
Tonight, Fox 32 investigates Tiffany Henyard's security detail and the massive amount of overtime it is generating for a handful of officers.
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany A. Henyard, the People's Mayor and People's Supervisor.
Tiffany Henyard makes nearly $250,000 a year serving as both mayor of Dalton and Thornton Township supervisor, an elected political double dip. She's charismatic and controversial.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing.
Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes character in the movie New Jack City. Later, punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem Rakakudash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Salutations to all you sincere Akim, pushing this word out across the 4 corners of the world. And as what you just saw from this previous video, a so-called black woman out of Illinois by the name of Tiffany Henyard. And she serves as a part-time mayor of a small suburban area or town called Dalton Village. And she also serves as a township supervisor in Thornton, Illinois. So as you heard, she's under a lot of scrutiny for her bit spending habits and being paraded around the city by armed security like she's some type of kingpin. Furthermore, within her term as a mayor, she has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer dollars, adding on to the $5 million debt only within 2 years. So of course, the people of that town are very upset with her poor leadership. And let's not get it twisted, because this type of corruption goes on all the time with these different politicians, especially these Edomite politicians. But we know according to their divine blessing, it's more swept under the rug. So what I take from this via the Spirit concerning this so-called black woman, Tiffany Henyard, and she's an Israelite woman, by the way, how that pact or agreement that your foremother Eve made with the serpent within the garden is starting to become disannul, which means to be voided or canceled out. Because at the end of the day, you Israelite women that have made a covenant with death, and that's referring to Esau Edom, which is that serpent, you all are still subjugated unto the curses of the biblical Israelites. And what does that pact or the agreement represents of the serpent and Eve? Feminism, women's rights. Remember, within Genesis, the 3rd chapter, what did the serpent tell the woman, referring to Eve? You should not surely die, and you should be as gods. And we are witnessing her God status within this modern world. So now we are approaching the end of that alliance being broken up. And that's why it's stated within Ecclesiastes 7 and 8, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Because these modern women, they are soon about to face a harsh reality of the consequences of feminism. And this feminism and women's rights movement was nothing but a big joke and also a diabolical plot by the so-called powers that be, and more so the Rockefeller family, and to deceive the world. And years ago, you had this insider by the name of Aaron Russo. He was being interviewed by Alex Jones, and he stated how he was close friends with Nick Rockefeller. So one day, Nick Rockefeller asked Aaron, "What do you think about the women's lib?" referring to the women's liberation. So Aaron Russo responded by, for women to have equal opportunity within the workforce and also the education field. So Nick Rockefeller, he scoffed and laughed at the Aaron's statement. And he went on to say the two primary reasons for the Rockefeller family to create this feminism or this women's lib. Number one, to be able to tax all the population, because now you have the woman being employed, so therefore she has to be taxed. Number two, to break up that nuclear family unit by the kids leaving home from a young age and being indoctrinated by Esau's wayward philosophies. Fast forward to nowadays, a lot of you modern women, especially you Israelite women, are starting to find out by being an independent, superficial boss bee, it's not that cute as it once was. And now you're coming to the forefront on social media, realizing that you have been bamboozled by the man of sin, Esau Edom himself, especially within America, which is spiritually codified as Babylon the Great. And that takes me to Job 10:21. Before I go whence, I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. So that land of darkness and the shadow of death is referring to America. And this place, America, is dark because it is spiritually voided of light, and the shadow of death upon you Israelites. That's why it's stated within Deuteronomy 28:66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and how you're going to fear day and night, and you shall have none assurance of your lives. So therefore, America is indeed the shadow of death. Verse 22, a land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death without any order, and where the light is as darkness. And according to 1 Corinthians 14:33, Yahawashi stated how they are not the author of confusion. And as you should know through the Spirit, America embodies confusion. That's exactly why America is codified within the scriptures as Babylon the Great. Because once you go into the Hebrew word for Babylon, it's Babal, which means chaos, disorder, vanity, and confusion. So again, back in Job 10:22, a land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death without any order, and where the light is as darkness. So this is a backward society. They are antagonistic to the ways of Yahawashi via the laws, statutes, and the commandments. And by promoting that mindset and behavior, you're going to have a rulership without order, which is why you have the weaker vessel referring to the woman, these authoritative roles, which is exactly why you have all this backlash going on concerning this self-proclaimed super mayor by the name of Tiffany Henyard. And that takes me to Jeremiah 31, verse 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth. A woman should compass a man. You should go to the word compass. It goes into to go around or to be in lead. It's why you have this madness going on with the weaker vessel into these leadership roles or positions in their careers. Women as judges, lawyers, police officers, senators, governors, mayors, city officials, supervisors, security guards, and the list goes on. So according to this prophecy right here within these latter days, Jeremiah stated through the Spirit how the Lord Yahweh created a new thing in the earth. And I came across an article from fortune.com, and as you can see from the title, American women are increasingly the breadwinner, but many are still in charge of childcare, cooking, and cleaning. And it says right here, the share of married women earning at least as much as their husbands has more than tripled in the last 5 decades. So by having a weaker vessel, again, referring to the woman being out her natural divine role and being enticed into these leadership positions, the only solution you're going to get out of this is straight confusion, madness. And that takes me to 1 Timothy 2:11 in the NLT. And it says, women should learn quietly and submissively. Verse 12, I do not let women teach men or have authority over them. Let them listen quietly. And first and foremost, this is regarding the ministry, trickling on down to these women having these authoritative roles or positions in this day of time. So it says again, I do not let women teach men or have authority over them. Let them listen quietly. And that authority goes into that justification or grounds of power or influence to be able to persuade someone. That is not your natural role as a woman. Like, for example, you have an actor or an actress telling the movie director, I don't want to fulfill this script that you gave me. So therefore, how much more within the movie of Yahawashi? Everybody has to play their roles or positions. But that serpent, referring to Esau Edom, he utilized his subtility by telling the woman how you should not surely die and you should be as gods, knowing good and evil. So you have been bamboozled. And that's why your coalition with this serpent is being disannulled in this day of time, which are the consequences of feminism. And that's because you, as the Israelite women, you put your trust into your biblical arch enemy. So either you repent or face the harsh reality that Yahawashi has stored for this place. And those results, by believing into this demonic vibration feminism, is going to be really ugly for you Israelite women. And it's stated within Isaiah the 19th chapter, Egypt, referring to America, should be like unto women, which goes into the spirit that these so-called mighty men are going to be in due to the divine judgments Yahawashi are going to bring. So if they're going to be in that type of state or condition, then how much more you weaker vessels, referring to you women. So with that, hopefully you all was edified, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.
And it's hard to turn anywhere in Dalton without seeing Henyard's picture or online, where she recently commemorated 9/11 with her own photo.
I want to ask you a few questions. Okay.
But when we asked Henyard a few months ago about her use of tax dollars, she was quickly hustled out of the room by armed security. And on Facebook, in videos posted by Henyard herself, we see her being driven around and surrounded by Dalton officers, which got us to wondering, why all the cops?
We weren't opposed to her having the security detail. We asked how long and how often.
Dalton trustee Brittany Norwood says Henyard began assembling her details shortly after being elected in 2021, using hand-picked Dalton police officers. Using a Freedom of Information request, we obtained the work records for 6 of the officers assigned to Henyard's security detail at various times, and showed them to some of Dalton's trustees.
This is a Freedom of Information request we did to see how much overtime these officers are making on her security detail.
Oh, wow.
162 hours.
162. Well, that's nothing. What goes through your mind when you see these numbers?
It's disappointing. It's frustrating.
The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours, sometimes 200 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000.
How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible. That's impossible.
There's 336
Does he never go to sleep?
In fact, there are 336 hours total in 2 weeks, meaning Young was not being paid for only 33 hours over that period. Other officers on the security detail are also racking up overtime paychecks in the multiple thousands of dollars.
Mayor, mind if I ask you a couple of questions about your security detail?
Absolutely not.
I'm asking her.
Yeah, she says no.
A couple weeks ago, we tried to question Henyard about her detail as she went door to door in Dalton giving out water on a 100-degree day, surrounded by police, firefighters, public works employees, and 2 videographers documenting for Dalton's Facebook page.
I want to tell the people I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I hope they post what we actually do here in the village of Dalton and stop telling lies.
But when we gave her an opportunity to explain the OT,
Mayor, why do you need so many
Why don't you ask about water?
officers,
You guys, what you
details
ask
of your
about water?
security?
What did you say, water? It sounded like you said water.
earlier that day, we watched as a Dalton cop drove Henyard from her other job at Thornton Township to a Mexican restaurant for lunch. Trustees say the security detail picks the mayor up at her home in the morning and is with her until she's dropped off at night, often taking her on errands and shopping.
Does she need a security detail?
Absolutely not. Why? Why would you need a security detail?
Oh, she loves it. She just loves it. She loves the detail. I think it makes her feel as if she's like a superstar.
Dalton trustees have filed a lawsuit against Henyard, saying she's not justified the need for security and is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it without the board's approval.
I see no justification whatsoever, and more than that, it's really a detriment to the residents of Dalton.
How so?
The residents, if we would take the same money and put it on officers patrolling the streets, then the residents will see a much better presence and public safety will be better.
We've had a few shootings, so we need the extra police patrolling our streets instead of patrolling her.
And we found Dalton credit card statements showing that Henyard takes the detail with her even when she travels out of town, spending thousands of dollars on plane tickets, lodging, and meals for the officers.
Mayor, why are you taking all the officers out of town with you? Isn't that a waste of taxpayers' money?
Let's go to this one right here.
Anything you want to say to defend yourself on this?
As for the village's finances, trustees say Dalton is now getting sued by some vendors for failure to pay its bills.
In the last 2 fiscal years, we're $5 million in the hole, and a big part of it is the security detail.
It's embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. You don't see the governor with a detail as hers.